All right. So, guys, what is going on? I'm going to wait a couple seconds to let some people tune in. I'm sitting a little closer to the computer. I am sitting right at the desk today instead of sitting in my nice chair there because as I was setting up the podcast, I stepped on the microphone cord and ripped the bottom of it out of the microphone. So gotta come up with a replacement there. But either way, I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. As you tune in, drop me something in the comments. Let me know how the day's going. Let me know how life is going. If you've got any fights coming up, anything interesting like that, shoot me a comment below and let me know what's going on with you. Today, we are asking a very important question on the podcast. We're going to start it up in a minute. We're asking the question, what is going to help me win? Now, the reason we're asking this question is because, plain and simple, a lot of you guys are, I don't want to say misinformed. That's the wrong word. But a lot of you guys are thinking about training the wrong way. You know, you're thinking about the wrong things when it comes to how to train effectively. So we're going to talk about the one and only question, quite honestly, that matters, which is, what is going to help me win? My leg stretching is so poor, I can't pivot during roundhouse kicks and can't do head kicks. So you need to do some hip mobility work. There's a million different ways you can start hitting it, but really you just got to start. That's it, right? But anyways, we're going to get into the podcast right away, and then we can talk more and do a little bit of Q&A once the show is over. So let's get into it. We're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the number one show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're asking a very important question. The question we're asking is, what is going to help me win? Now, the reason we're asking this is because, plain and simple, a lot of you guys just aren't thinking about training the right way. You know, you're thinking about how you can outwork your opponent. You're thinking about how you can fit more hours of training in. You're thinking about, all these different things that you think is going to help you win, but you're not thinking about the one and ultimate question, which is, what is going to help me win? And the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because a lot of you guys get sidetracked. You get sidetracked with one element of the answer of that question, because that question has a lot of answers to it. And the one element you guys get sidetracked with is working harder than everyone, right? That's one very common discussion I have with athletes on a day-to-day basis, both my own athletes as well as athletes that I speak to in the DMs on Instagram as well. The conversation basically ends up turning into, how do I work harder? How do I do more? How, like, my body's really tired, but I feel like I need more training. And it's always about how to do more. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to start this by saying I applaud the mindset. I understand you guys want to do more, and I understand why you guys want to do more. But you need to understand that just doing more is not the answer you're looking for. Because when it comes to what is going to help you win, there's a lot of different areas. There's a lot of different elements. There's a lot of different things you need to put you in the best position to succeed. And hard work is absolutely a very, very, very important one. So do not think for a second this is me telling you you don't need to work hard. But it is one very, very, very important piece of the puzzle. Now, the reason I framed it like this, with what is going to help me win, is because that needs to be your one and only focus when you're going into training, when you're going into your approach to your sport. Your goal from training is to win your competition. It's not to be the hardest worker in the room. It's not to put in a certain amount of hours. It's not to run 20 miles every single week. It's not to any of those things other than to win your competition. Because I see a lot of athletes and I see a lot of coaches out there put these arbitrary numbers on themselves or on their athletes. You need 20 miles of road work every single week. Why? Why 20? Why not 15? Why not 25? Why not 40? Right? That number in itself does not make you win fights. Now, is it a good thing to have, training numbers in mind and things you're working towards in the gym? For sure. But that number needs to actually serve a purpose. That number or those things that you're working for need to actually be in service of the ultimate goal, which is to help you win. Right. So as an example, the reason why I don't like seeing quotas like that from coaches or quotas like that from athletes talking about how, I need to hit my X amount of road work every week or something like that is because let's say you're in the middle of training camp and your coach has told you need 20 miles of road work every single week. And then let's say one day you take a really hard leg kick and, your leg's kind of iffy. You're not really sure. It's hard to walk on it a little bit, but you got to get your 20 miles in, right? So you go for your run anyway, even though it's brutal on the leg, and then it kind of makes the leg feel worse. Now the next couple of days of training are compromised because you went for your run when your leg was injured. In your head, you're going, I'm getting my 20 miles in. I'm doing the thing. I've got, I'm doing everything that's required so that I can win this fight. But what's happening is you're hurting yourself. You're making that potential, like that little knee injury that you had, worse by putting more impact on it when it probably needed to recover. Because in your head, your aim is to hit your 20 miles of road work. You get what I'm saying? So this isn't even me saying don't have, things that you're working towards of, I want to make sure I hit this many sessions or I want to make sure that I hit this much, conditioning work or anything like that. But understand that the ultimate goal is to help you win. And if the ultimate goal is to help you win, then if you hurt your knee, what is going to help you win more? Doing more miles of road work, which isn't really something that I would prescribe to an athlete training for a fight anyway, potentially making that knee injury worse? Or do you feel like you should do some physio exercises to help work on the strength of the knee and put yourself in a position where you can actually recover the injury and get back to proper training without having that injury lag on for the rest of training camp? Probably the second one, right? Yet so many people forget that the goal is not how much road work you can get in. The goal is not, how many hours of training you can get in. The goal is winning when you step into the ring or winning when you step into the cage. So when it comes to winning when you step into the ring or the cage, yes, hard work is a massively important piece of the puzzle, but you need to be focused in other areas as well. Number one area is going to be recovery. This is one mistake I see on a day-to-day basis. Athletes telling me they don't like taking recovery because they feel like if they're recovering, they're not training. If they're not training, they're not getting better. And the problem with that, the analogy I always like to use is it's like a car on a road trip. So by saying I don't want to take a recovery day because I'm not, getting better or advancing or improving during that recovery day is like saying I don't want to stop for gas on a road trip. Because when I'm stopped for gas, I'm not going further down the road, right? That might be true. You might not be improving your skills when you're taking a day off, but if you don't stop for gas on a road trip, then your car breaks down in the middle of the highway and then you're way further behind because you have to walk back to the nearest gas station, find a way back to the nearest gas station, fill up a little jerry can and walk back to your car. It's going to take way longer than if you had just stopped to get gas when you needed gas. And this is the same as the recovery day during your week. If you, as an example, take every Saturday off, then all week long, you're using all your energy, you're beating up your body a little bit, you're working hard, you're training. And then by the time Saturday comes around, maybe you don't feel like you need a recovery day, but maybe you're operating now at 60% instead of 95% because of the hard work that you've put in that week. When you take that recovery day, you're just filling up the tank. You're going back to that, 90, 95% so that you can operate at the highest possible level for your next week of training. Now, the second area is strength and conditioning. This is another one. I have athletes tell me all the time, oh, yeah, strength and conditioning, like it makes sense, but, I just don't have time because I have so much skills training to do. And guys, you don't get me wrong, skills, absolutely a crucial piece of the puzzle. And I always make sure to frame that first because I always have people telling me like, oh, are you telling us not to train our skills? Of course not. If you are not training your skills consistently and you're not consistently working on improving them, you will not be good at your sport, no matter how well conditioned you are. But if you have a very good skill set and your opponent has a very good skill set, but they're stronger than you, they're faster than you, they're more explosive than you, and they can push a higher pace for longer than you, they are going to overtake you because they are going to be able to execute their game plan at a higher level for longer. And if they're able to do that, then the fact that you did all that skills training isn't going to matter. You need to set yourself up for success. You need to be working on your strength, your power, your speed, and your conditioning. And if you're not doing that effectively, you're leaving a massive amount of your potential on the table. And then finally, nutrition. Guys, you can train all you want, but if you're fueling your body like shit, you are going to perform like shit. You need to learn how to actually properly fuel your body. And a very simple way to do this is to Google how to calculate my macros. And you'll find a number of different ways that you can do it online. And once you Google that and you find one of those macro calculators, then what you can do is you can input how many carbohydrates, how many grams of carbohydrates, protein, and fat you should be taking in during your day based off of the questions that they ask you. And then you'll be able to learn how to properly fuel your body for the training that you're doing. Now, if you can put all of these pieces together instead of only focusing on the hard work, you're going to be a stronger, faster, better conditioned, more resilient to injury version of you every single time you compete. Now, if you are able to do that, you are going to be able to execute your skill set at a higher level. And if you're able to execute your skill set at a higher level, you're going to be able to beat a lot more opponents. So make sure that you are reframing your questions from how do I fit in the most amount of training, or how do I outwork everyone in the room, to asking the one and only important question, which is what is going to help me win? What is going to help me win when I compete? And how do I take all of those things that are going to help me win and utilize those to my advantage every single time I'm stepping into the cage or into the ring? Guys, that's it. That's all. I appreciate you all so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you on the next episode.